The following program is produced by the Tech Talk Radio Network.
You're listening to Tech Talk Radio. And hey, this is Duke Nukem. Hail to the king, baby.
Welcome to another episode of Tech Talk Radio. I'm Andy Taylor.
I'm Shawn DeWeird.
And I'm Justin Lemmy.
It's good to see you all. A pretty busy week.
I survived.
You survived.
It's like, I didn't get blown away.
What storm is affecting Shawn this week?
I feel like every time we record an episode, I've got some sort of either I'm under threat of severe weather or I just survived the threat of severe weather.
And this one you actually did kind of survive, right?
Yeah, so we went camping this past weekend. We got the camper out for the first time this year, and I was with my parents and my friend Steve, and Caitlin was in Lafayette, Indiana, which is down by Purdue, in a wedding. And the boys were asleep. This is about 12:30 Friday night, Saturday morning, and we knew there was weather up in Michigan, and so we were watching Ryan Hall on YouTube just to make sure that there was no threat of severe weather. And the theory is that if Ryan Hall mentions your town or the town you're in, right, you better be heading for a shelter.
Wow.
So when he mentioned LaPorte, Indiana, which is just north of where Potato Creek State Park is, my mom came out of the motorhome and was like, all right, get the boys. We're going to take them over to the bathroom shelters and we'll pile them in your truck. And then all of a sudden the sirens started going off, our phones started going off, and it was like, I was like, uh-oh. And then it just kind of got wild. We were watching the storm come in. The lightning was getting intense, and like, we didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal, but it turned south pretty quick. Like it was all of a sudden it was hailing. It was the wind
turned
picked
south,
up.
Like literal south, or turned
no,
south as in
like
turned
it
bad?
just turned south. A euphemism, whatever.
You gotta fill us in here.
Where you're north,
the
south,
weather
east,
turned
west.
bad very quickly. Like we were watching it come from the west. It was heading west to east. And I mean, it was a matter of 1 or 2 minutes and there was marble size hail coming down. The wind picked up to, I don't even know what it was. We were all soaked. We had piled into the bathroom for about half an hour, 45 minutes. And then
Was there other people in there with you?
Oh yeah. There was probably 24 people in there. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, whoa. So like, if you weren't monitoring Ryan Hall, y'all, right?
We would have just ducked and covered into the camper.
Wow. I can't even imagine.
I mean, it was, we were watching the storm come in, and I'm grateful that we had enough cell service to be able to stream Ryan Hall. Like, if you don't know who Ryan Hall is, I don't think he's actually a meteorologist
yet.
He's
not. He's an amateur.
He's a YouTuber who tracks storms and has a staff of people who are actual meteorologists, track storms for him, and he predicts where they're going to go and tracks tornado warnings, thunderstorm warnings, etc. And then kind of is like he's a YouTuber, and he puts out a pretty good production.
You know, speaking of that, I mean, I've watched Ryan Hall in the past, and I appreciate his production value.
Right.
However, he's got a lot of flack from people on the internet about the fact that he is not a meteorologist. He is just a hobbyist. He's an amateur. Right. And he's making light of, I can't remember. I think there might've been a specific example, but he made light of somebody who died in a storm and made a joke about it. And I guess he caught a lot of backlash for it. I don't know all the different, but he is one of the major YouTubers that deals in meteorology.
Right.
There's a handful of them out there.
But you look at it in this point, though. I mean, here's a real world example. Shawn was monitoring it, and and I've seen his stuff. Nothing like that has really affected us too much in Arizona, but I've seen his stuff. I watched it after Shawn told me about him last time, and I was like, this guy's really good. I like his presentation.
He's got great presentation. And have you seen the behind the scenes of his studio or his house or whatever?
No.
So it's actually 2 houses. Like he lives on like a cul-de-sac.
Right.
And his main house that he actually lives in is at the end of the cul-de-sac. And he takes a little golf cart down to another house that he bought down the street. And the living room is that what you see when he's sitting there with the stuff in the background.
Right.
It's the living room. And then his actual like meteorologist, the younger nerdy looking kid, I guess, sits off to the side. He sits in the kitchen of that house with a little setup, like a desk in the kitchen. They don't do any cooking or anything in that particular house. It's literally just a studio, but it is a residential property.
I thought about doing it. My neighbor wants to sell her house. I've thought about that. I thought, hey, I could just turn it into a full-fledged, living room setup for a studio. You could do, the garage could be a full-on big, huge. That would be, I'm glad somebody did that.
I mean, it would be fun. But go ahead and have fun with that, because that's going to be expensive.
Yeah.
We need to gain a few more subscribers first.
Yeah, I was going to say.
More than the 3 that we have.
Yeah. 200,000 more.
Smash that button.
Now, I will say that there's another one. There's Max Velocity is another YouTube streamer, and they kind of went back and forth for a while before they got big and pulled in by sponsors. Ryan Hall is primary sponsors WeatherWise, and the other, I don't know what the other Max Velocity's weather app is. Radar Omega, I think.
Yeah, I got Radar Omega from Ryan Hall. That's when I started subscribing to it.
Outside of their live content, I don't watch any of their prediction stuff, because a lot of their prediction stuff is just sensationalized. Being on the live broadcast side of things, like from my perspective, I appreciate the live content. He does a good job. He tells a great story. And keeps people informed and up to date with real-time weather tracking data.
Yeah, the benefit for Ryan is that he's got all these people, stringers, basically, that are in other cities, other towns across the U.S., that they can give him the real... Because the thing is with radio and TV weather, we're kind of limited. We get the information, whoever you're subscribing to, whether it be National Weather Service, AccuWeather, or any of the others that are out there, you're not seeing what's really going on, because that can change.
It's funny that you mentioned that. You mentioned National Weather Service or AccuWeather or True Weather or whatever, Weather Underground, weatherchannel.com, all those things, right? Here's the thing I learned about this. Every single one of those websites gets their data from weather.gov.
Weather.gov.
And that's free. That's open. That's open to all U.S. citizens. It's free. So all you're doing is by going to like AccuWeather or I don't know what. I'm sorry picking on AccuWeather here, but if you're going to the website, all you're doing is getting served ads. You're getting the same data that you could get for free without ads if you just simply went to weather.gov.
Weather.gov. Okay, that's good to know. Because, again, there's so many sources out there. And this Ryan Hall has done just a great job with it. That's a good example of a YouTuber that, just gained a following because of a service that he has. I've seen some really good YouTubers, too. And you have different ones, too, that do it in so many different, veins. There's a new guy I've been watching lately. He's an old prop guy for motion pictures. And I've noticed his count is going up. And he shows how to make. This is how we make fake ice cubes, or this is how we do the arrow through the stack of newspapers or something. There's a lot of great content creators that are out there.
Yeah,
we should do
kind of like a
content creator of the week or something like that.
Yeah, there's so many. I mean, it's starting to get rare to come across somebody who is a good content creator and has a unique idea. It just seems like YouTube just kind of keeps rehashing the same old stuff over and over. But Shawn, I got to ask you one simple question. Do you have a YOLO meter?
I do not pay for anything related to Ryan Hall.
What is a YOLO meter? What is that?
You can get specific tier. You can pay like a subscription model to activate y'all mode or whatever he calls it, where you get specific things tracked I don't have one of his weather stations.
I don't have is a meter. It's a snow meter. And it says Ryan Hall and it's the YOLO meter, and you put it out on your patio when you get a snowstorm, and then it shows how much snow you've gotten. And then you're supposed to take a picture and you send it into Ryan Hall. And he may be like, oh, yeah, this is from Shawn in Indiana. It looks like the YOLO meter's showing 6 inches out there in Indiana. Like, it doesn't count for drifts. It doesn't count for any of that. I mean, it's just a prop, and he's just making money off of it.
Well, hey, you got to make it where you can.
Yeah, you got to hustle, baby.
Somebody who has made a lot of money for Apple is stepping down. After 15 years of running Apple, Tim Cook has announced he is stepping down as CEO. John Ternus is going to be taking over. Tim will apparently become executive chairman of Apple's board of directors. Ternus is the current senior vice president of hardware engineering.
So wait, he's
And
not stepping down. Cook is getting promoted.
you think that would be a promotion?
Well, dude, who's in charge of the CEO? The board of directors.
Oh, yeah. Okay. You got a good point there. He'll be on the board. Yeah. During Tim's tenure at Apple, he oversaw Apple Watch, which is still pretty good. I mean, I like it. There's options, of course. AirPods, Apple Vision Pro, Apple Silicon, and that's all during his some of the big failures. People will note Apple Maps.
Always been bad.
I don't even remember Apple Maps.
It still exists, but it's bad.
Yeah,
It's really bad.
the Apple Car, Project Titan, and then probably one of the biggest things is they did not take the AI push seriously enough to really jump
They
into it.
didn't have the hardware to support it. They couldn't acquire somebody fast enough before they got too big. That's what it
Yeah.
came down to. Like
And it's gone
Apple
fast.
could, yeah. So
And like, I'm still waiting for Siri to get better. I mean, that's and no, seriously, I've thought about, okay, I'm going to go back. I'm gonna get back into the Apple, ecosystem. Thinking maybe get a 17. I don't know. I love I switched to Pixel, and I like it. The thing that I would miss the most right now is how I'm able to use Google on this. I can't do it with Siri. I've tried. I don't get it. Same with Alexa. You don't get it. But it seems like Google got it. Android got it.
Have you seen this big movement now, though, that people are talking about where it's called, well, it's affectionately known as de-Googling?
yes.
No, what is that?
So, I mean, you think about it. I mean, it goes back to the old adage, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product.
Yeah.
Right? So Apple, Google, everybody, like these Pixel phones, they're
Right.
tracking everything you do. Every website you visit, every app you have on there, every text message you send, every email you send, they're tracking it. They're figuring out who you are, what you do, where you're going. It's all there. So people are saying, you know what, enough is enough. We want our privacy back. So what they're doing is they're saying, you can't really do this with iPhones. iPhone, Apple locks it down at a hardware level, but Android, you can get certain Android phones, not necessarily every Android phone, but like the Pixel is one of them. You can wipe it and install Graphene OS, which is an Android alternative that is truly focused on privacy. They don't track anything. It's open source. You're not going to get all of the crud that Google tries to shove down your throat. There's alternatives, like we always mention that website, alternative2.net, I think it was, right? There's alternatives to everything on an Android phone, whether it be Google Photos, Google Gemini, everything you can imagine, there's alternatives to with the Graphene OS. And this gives you that little bit of privacy back because Google is tracking everything you do. And if you're like, oh, I don't use Google, I use Apple. Apple's doing the same thing.
Well, is the carrier also doing that? I mean, I would think, if whether you're on T-Mobile or Verizon,
I'm sure
or
to a certain extent.
I mean, I would think you can't really get away from the tracking, can you?
Well,
Unless you went to a full like mesh net or something.
yeah, if you went to like a full VPN and you just had VPN turned on your phone every single minute of every single day, then yeah, your carrier is probably not going to be able to track anything you do because all that traffic is encrypted. But who does that? Nobody does that. They just feel like, oh yeah, it's a cellular network.
It's too inconvenient, to be honest.
Yeah, it's too inconvenient.
Shawn, you're in the Apple ecosystem. What changes would John Ternus need to make? Now, let's face it, though. We mentioned a couple of failures. The company has brought in more money than ever during Tim Cook's reign. Operationally, the guy was a genius. But what changes would they have to make for them to continue to grow and stay with where we are with technology?
No, that's a loaded question, but I think they have to. The problem is they're too big for their britches, right? They know that people will pay, so they'll never drop their price to a competitive level. They'll always charge more than the market value for stuff.
Except for the Neo.
I was surprised by the Neo, but that was somebody looking at a pile of scrap going, what are we going to do with all this?
Yeah.
What can we make? What can we make with this? Right. And they took a lot of quality of life features out, packed in decent hardware, and made it run.
Yeah.
And it runs good. I've used one. My coworker had bought one, and I'm thinking about getting Caitlin one for her birthday / Christmas if they're available, because they sold incredibly well with the most recent release of the Neo. And they've even talked about, okay, well, they're about to release whatever. They're going to announce the next iPhone, in this fall. And they're talking about building another version of the Neo with the i17 Pro chip and 12 gigs of RAM, because that's what's on the iPhone 17 Pro chip is 12 gigs of RAM. So that would be the next instance of the Neo. I don't know what they have to do. It's hard because people aren't into a physical industry right now. They're trying to disconnect from physical devices. They're trying to. I don't know. I mean, everything's going cloud-based, software as a service. I mean, I just don't know.
It seems like the key for a lot of these companies like Apple, Adobe, Microsoft has been subscription models. What subscription models could they do other than you don't own your Mac anymore? It's all cloud.
So look what they did with Final Cut, right? They created the Content Creator Studio, which took AI and professional features and put it behind a paywall. So you don't get everything when you buy Final Cut Pro for whatever it is now, $399 or whatever. Then you can, on top of that, subscribe to a bonus feature and get constant updates. Well, I'm going to get constant updates anyways, at least for now.
Right.
Forward, but I'm not going to get. I don't care about the AI enhanced features for my editing stuff. I don't use them, but a lot of people do. But at what cost, right? I don't like if I'm buying again. It's the software as a service model that kind of stinks. Like I want to buy the product, and if I want to upgrade, let me upgrade later at my own cost. Like I don't care, but I don't want to pay monthly for a perpetual continued upgrade release. I want something that's going to work now the way I need it to. And if I want to upgrade, let me upgrade at a cost on my own terms, at my own tier, if you will. Because constant upgrades also mean constant problems, right? They're pushing out constant updates. If you have auto updates on, I run into this with apps all the time. I like my apps to be kept up to date on my phone because you get the most use out of them when they're up to date. But sometimes when they update, they take away a feature that you liked that you may not have noticed you liked, or that it's so buggy because they're just constantly pushing content forward because people are consuming content and not just in media content, but just content in terms of productivity content at such an alarming rate that they have to keep up. And everybody wants the new thing, the new shiny thing, the new updates, new progress forward. And that's a weird culture we're in right now where it's like, if you're not making progress, you're not going and you're not doing anything. People aren't happy with the status quo, just making a product that works and stable for a period of time, like they had been.
Do you think it's too late for Apple to get into the AI game?
Yeah.
Well, or are users just using other sources now?
I mean, they tried with Apple Intelligence, and it wasn't even 6 months, 8 months. They were like, nah, we're going a different direction. Here's OpenAI. Here's, I wouldn't be surprised if they partner with somebody else, or they ride out the wave and don't go with, generate some smaller AI stuff built in, bake it in, and release it slowly over time as it becomes more refined. But I mean,
I don't know.
The AI bubble is weird. The AI bubble is so weird. It's so hard to keep track, but I hope it bursts.
Let me ask. Okay. So let me ask, when it comes to streaming content, and we have different ways. Of course, Plex is one of those. We've talked a lot about it on the show. But when it comes to like Roku or Google or Amazon, is there any preference you guys have when it comes to this stuff?
Plex.
Do you use any of those?
Well, I mean, I don't stream from Plex, right? I mean, the big ones I have are Disney Plus and Netflix.
Right.
Because with my Verizon subscription, like what I pay for Verizon, that's all that's bundled into my Verizon cell phone bill. So I pay a Verizon bill at, I think it's like $100 a month for both me and Caitlin to have our phones. Plus we get Netflix, Disney Plus, ESPN, Hulu, all wrapped in. And I don't have to have a separate subscription for those.
Right. So there was what about you, Justin? What about you? Like,
I mean, I use mostly YouTube TV. I'll use Amazon Prime Video if I have to.
like
If
on a
it's
smart
something.
TV, right?
Well, I mean, I got the Google TV streamer, so like it's got all my apps built in. I don't use the apps built into the TV, but
Right.
if I have to watch if I'm trying to look for a sports event that I can't find, I go to an app on my phone. It tells me where to find it, and I'm like, oh, Amazon Prime TV. Okay, fine. I'll go to Prime. I'll launch it up, sign in because I haven't signed in forever, and I'll watch the show. And other than that, now it's like Netflix and YouTube TV pretty much.
Yeah. So Amazon just announced this week that they've got a new Fire TV Stick HD streaming device that'll be out. Matter of fact, it'll be out on the 29th. And there's no power adapter. So if you've ever had a Fire TV Stick, you know that you had to, plug an adapter in and plugged into the Fire Stick, which was kind of thick. They've slimmed it down. It can now run off a USB port on the television. So you'd plug it in to your, HDMI port, and then you'd have an adapter that would come off and plug in. But it plugs into USB-C. And I'm thinking, are there TVs out now with USB-C?
Nope.
I mean, I know Hisense has got one, but I don't see it being mass produced.
No, there's no reason to. No, there's no reason to. I mean, first off, I can't even count how many times I've seen one of these clickbait websites that are like, oh my God, it's 5 reasons you should be using your USB port on your television that you weren't aware of.
Right?
Nobody uses the USB ports on their TV.
Yeah.
So, like, all these articles talking about that. No, I don't think there's any reason for anybody to come out with a USB-C. However, if this is a USB-C plug, you just get an adapter, a USB-C to USB-A.
They have a USB-C, USB-A adapter that comes with it. It sells for like $34.
Just for the adapter?
No, for the entire new Fire TV
I
stick.
was going to say.
But okay, so it also has a new OS. So they're now using a Linux-based OS, the Linux Vega OS, that is going to be a part of that. But, when I saw it, I thought, oh, this is great. I want to get it. The thing is, if you hear about it, think about this. If you've got a 4K TV, this is 1080p.
My God.
Oh, yeah. It's
why
only
would they
1080p.
do that?
And I don't know why. They're not updating their 4K device, which is still going to run on Fire OS, even though they've got new fast channels that are coming out. That means free and ad supported. That'll be out as a part of this new Fire TV Stick HD. So if you got a 4K, you're not going to benefit from it. If you got an older, 1080p TV, you want to stick something in there for $35, get those fast channels with ads. There you go. All right. Tell you what, we got to take a quick break. We come back. We do have some listener questions that we will share when we get back. A couple of good ones on Tech Talk Radio. I'm Andy Taylor.
I'm Shawn DeWeird.
And I'm Justin Lemmy. Find us on the web at techtalkradio.com. We'll be right back. So this last weekend, we went downtown Denver and went to go to a Rockies game.
Oh, nice.
And Colorado Rockies baseball. And when we went down there, we were taking the train. And as the train approached, the conductor was leaning out the window going, "Train's full, standing room only, standing room only." We're like, what?
Is it like a trolley or is it a train?
It's more than a trolley. It's an actual rail car. Yeah.
Nice.
But it's kind of like any other big city, Los Angeles or New York or Chicago with their rail systems.
Right.
But anyway, so we get on and we're like, why is this train so busy? Because there's not that many people going to a Rockies game. I mean, come on, face it. It's the Rockies. And yes, they're playing the Dodgers. But yeah, it's whatever. But anyway, so we get on the train, we get down there, and we go to the Rockies game. And then I start reading about these things, and I'm like, oh, wow, actually, there's a lot more going on. So you got the Rockies versus the Dodgers.
Uh-huh.
You've got the Avalanche were playing, I think it was the Kings, I want to say. I think it was the Kings. So the Avalanche were playing in Denver, hockey. And then you had Colorado Rapids, the MLS, Major League Soccer, playing Inter Miami Football Club, which is a big match, over at the Broncos Stadium. Right. So there was a lot of sporting events going on. As a matter of fact, I was listening to somebody talk about it. They were saying, hey, this is the first time in history that the 4 top players in their respective industries, their respective sports, have been in one place at one time.
Oh,
So you think about it, you got Shohei Ohtani from the Dodgers, right? Best baseball player in the league right now.
Yeah.
Nathan McKinnon from the Avalanche, best hockey player in the league right now.
right.
You've got Nikola Jokic from the Nuggets. Even though they weren't playing that day, he was in Denver because they're playing tonight.
Yeah.
And then you've also had Lionel Messi, the famous, football soccer star, right? Now he also plays for Inter Miami now. So he no longer just plays for Argentina. He plays for Inter Miami, Major League Soccer. So anyway, he was in town. I didn't know all this.
Right.
Until way after. So after the game was over, we went to a restaurant and then we started walking back towards the Union Station to get on the train to go home. And as we're passing this random restaurant downtown with a bunch of glass windows, Eric, my son, points into the window and he goes, Messi.
Oh, are you kidding me?
And I'm like, I look over and I see this guy sitting at a table. He looks a little bit like Messi.
Yeah.
But I'm like, no, the beard is a little bit too long. That's not Messi. He's like, oh, well, it looks like Messi. I'm like, yeah, it's not. It's not.
Your son's a celeb spotter. I like that.
So this morning, I'm going to work. I'm listening to the radio, and they're like, yeah, Lionel Messi was in town, and right after the game, he went up to a restaurant right outside the Dairy Block in downtown. And I'm like, oh my God, that's exactly where we were. And that was Messi.
That was Messi. And your son picked him out.
Yeah. I just randomly, we were just walking by this restaurant. He just looks in and goes, Messi. And so I told him that today after school. I picked him up and I was like, hey, remember that guy you pointed out and said it was Messi? And he's like, yeah. I was like, apparently that really was Messi. And he's like, what? Oh my God, my friends are going to be so good. Oh my God, I saw Messi. I wish I could have gone to meet him. And I was like, well, you never know. Like when it comes to celebrities, like some celebrities are cool. I would rather it just be left at, hey, I got to see Messi up close than, hey, I got to meet Messi and he was a complete a-hole. Like, so
there was a website years. I don't know if it's still around. It's like something like Within 10 Feet. It was supposed to be people running with celebrities, that whole bit. And they would tell stories about celebrities that were mean and celebrities that were nice. When you guys worked in TV in San Diego, you guys met some
tons.
Were there any that were like, that stood out as being, okay, this person's not very nice?
The one that first comes to mind by far, Kenny G.
Kenny G. Who would have thought? He seems like he would be such a nice guy.
No, this guy was just, I mean, I really wish we weren't on radio right now because I would really tell you the words I'm thinking of describing him with.
Wow.
But no, this guy was so mean, so standoffish. I mean, I walk into the green room, which is, where the celebrities go to before they go on set to go do the TV. Right. And I'm just like, hey, Mr. Kenny G, my parents, we all love you. We've listened to your music for so many years. I was hoping I can get a picture with you. And he just looked at me and was like, ugh, make it quick.
God. Wow.
And I'm just like, oh, okay. So I hand the phone over to his, producer, whatever handler. And he like cracks half of a smile and he's just like, yeah, whatever. And I'm just like, okay, thank you. And he's just like,
in the picture, it almost looked like he was trying to walk out of the frame.
Yeah. And as soon as the picture was over, he was like, yeah, take your phone, get out. I'm like, excuse me? I was so wanted to tell him off. I'm like, this is my house. You are in my house right now. Don't tell me to leave.
What about you, Shawn? Do you have
I can't think of any bad ones. I've got so many good ones, but I think some of the coolest ones, I got to interview Jane Goodall when I was in San Diego.
See, that's amazing. Jane Goodall.
Not
many people
one-on-one with her. One-on-one with Obama. One-on-one with Trump when he was running for president back in 2016.
Really?
Mitt Romney. Because, a lot of this happened when I was in San Diego, right? So...
yeah, true.
Man, yeah. I met so many. Comic-Con was huge. I did so many at Comic-Con because we covered Comic-Con when I was there. And we interviewed tons and tons and tons of people. So
there's a couple of people that I've met before that at like Tribune Tower, in Chicago, just going there. Just randomly. I met what's the guy from Iron Chef, the judge.
Ramsey?
Oh, I don't even.
No, not Ramsey. He's not a chef. Well, he was a chef, but He's like the host of Iron Chef. Anyway,
yeah.
I met him just randomly in the lobby, and I was like, "Oh, can I get a quick picture?" And then another time at the Tribune Tower, I met Bruce Campbell.
Oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah. With the boomstick,
Yeah.
right?
I was like, "Oh, can I get a picture?" And he's like, "Yeah, give me your phone." And he takes a picture, hands it back to me, says "boomstick," and I'm like, "Oh my God, I need to change."
All right, who was the coolest celebrity that you ever?
Stanley.
Stanley? Oh man.
Anthony Daniels, who plays C-3PO.
Oh. You met Anthony Daniels?
Wait,
really?
He was a cool guy? I've heard so much bad things about him.
He was cool when I met him.
Wow. That's I've never met anybody that has met Anthony Daniels.
Yeah, he came and we did Star Wars. He emceed Star Wars in concert when it came to Grand Rapids in 2016, 2014, 15.
Right.
And we got to go behind the scenes and see to go to rehearsal and see it. It was pretty cool.
That is pretty neat. And for me, and I don't, I lived in LA, so went to Hollywood a lot. I worked for a while in the business, and I met people. I don't know what it is. I always would run into people like Frank Gorshin and Muhammad Ali. That was kind of a cool thing. Mr. T, some of those people. The coolest.
I pity the fool.
Coolest celeb though ever met was here in Tucson was Ozzy. Ozzy Osbourne was, and I heard so many things about Ozzy. Was the nicest guy in the world. He was nice to my kids, which is what, I kind of appreciated. I still have my signed Bark at the Moon Ozzy Osbourne lunchbox, cool. Metal lunchbox. But he was.
You take it to work with you every day?
Yes, I do. Bring it right here. Yes. And I've played Ozzy once here. Played on the day that he had passed away at KGVY. So I don't know if the bosses knew that I did that, but it was good. I played him and
what they don't know don't hurt them.
All right, we got a good question in from the show, and it tied into something we talked about not long ago, Justin. It's from Larry. It says, love listening to your show. Was intrigued by your discussion on digital signage. That's just from a couple of weeks ago. He said, I think it's a great idea, and I have a business. I'd like to have a digital sign in. Do you know of services or companies that can do this? Could I just run a DVD of our services and pay a one-time production cost? Also, if I do something like a digital sign, could it be hacked? And that's from Larry in Tucson.
Bright Sign.
Well, yeah. Sign? Well, I was gonna mention we're using Bright Sign. It depends on what your use case is for. I mean, if you're talking about a static image that you want to display on a television, let's say like a menu of sorts or something, you don't even need to do a DVD. I mean, first off, there's no television players that have DVDs built into them. I mean, just use a USB stick. Just take a USB stick, load up all of your images that you want, and then on your smart TV, go to the USB device and just hit shuffle or play with a loop on, and it will just keep looping through all of those photos.
I know Roku TVs have that capability with a USB stick plugged in to the USB port, and there you go. You could use it that way.
You can definitely do that. So I guess it really depends. I mean, how much content do you want? Do you want your content to be dynamically updated when you need it? Let's say, for instance, you are running a restaurant and you run out of hot dogs. Do you want to be able to cross hot dogs off the list on that menu right away? If so, then you're going to want a digital signage solution. Now, Andy, you mentioned Roku. Shawn, you mentioned BrightSign. Not a lot of people know this, but BrightSign is Roku. Roku spun off BrightSign many, many years ago. And their devices look like a Roku. They're the same purple color. And what BrightSign allows you to do is it allows you to put some dynamic content on there. So what we do at my position at my company, we run bright signs, and then what we do on the bright sign is we design the landscape, because you get like a blank canvas. It basically asks you like, what size is your TV? You say, I don't know, like a 55-inch TV. Right. Okay, here's the space that you have to work with. You can put static images, or you can put little widgets like a weather widget or stuff like that. Or what we do in our case, we subscribe to a third-party content that literally just puts up a web page. And that web page is like a menu of our items that we're having for sale at that particular spot. This allows us to not have to deal with the bright sign, because if you go into a bright sign and let's say you update it and then you publish that content to the bright sign, it has to reboot and then display the content.
Yeah.
So by having a third party that runs an HTML, website,
Right.
the bright sign is literally just pointing at a website saying, here, whatever's on this website, read off of it.
Right.
And so we put our menus on the website, and then the website then is displayed on the bright sign. So if we run out of an item, we can easily go to that website's, user portal, admin portal, and just say, cross this item off the list. And instantly it's displayed on the bright sign.
One of the apps for Roku TV is basically a slideshow. So depending on his needs, I know that some real estate agents have been doing this where they put like a TV like in a home that they're showing that will show other like the features of the home in like a slideshow, maybe with numbers.
Usually those are just USB sticks.
Yeah, I would think so. So that might work. I found that there's another company, I just looked it up, called Xgo, and that's XOGO.io. They'll give you a chance to even try it out. But Bright Sign sounds like that might be one. XOGO.io could be good.
The other question that he had there was, can this be hacked if I'm using a digital signage thing? Larry, anything you put on the internet can be hacked, period. So it doesn't matter.
Cloud
it doesn't matter what you're doing. Anything you put on the internet can be hacked.
All right, good points. All right, coming up, we haven't talked to her for a while. Yesterday, we were going to get together and do the show, all four of us, but she wasn't able to be here today. So I got a chance yesterday to talk with Amanda about education, AI, how they're teaching AI in the schools.
Oh, wow.
If you've got a kid, or you know somebody that's going to school, or you're an educator, you want to tune in for that, as we'll talk with one of our show co-hosts who's been out for a bit. She promises she will be back soon to do one with all of us. Amanda coming up next on Tech Talk Radio. I'm Andy Taylor.
I'm Shawn DeWeird.
And I'm Justin Lemmy. Send us an X at Tech Talk Radio. We'll be right back.
Not long ago, we had one of our listeners send a note to us going, what happened to that girl that was on the show? She was great. Had so much info. And we knew, you're talking about Amanda. Yeah, okay. Well, it was great because I was able to reach out to Amanda and wanted to get her on to talk about something that's very important to so many of us parents, grandparents, anybody that has children that are attending school, to find out what is the latest really with technology and education. And Amanda's with us here, one of our Tech Talk Radio hosts, although, she runs busy, so she's always welcome anytime. It's good to see you.
Thank you. It's so good to see you. It's good to be back and kind of get in the swing of things, because a lot has happened since we last talked, especially in the AI realm and the EdTech realm, for sure.
Yeah, and there are a lot of people wondering about that merging, Amanda, about AI and education, and, does it come into play? There have been some that have said, keep AI out of the classroom. But, my thoughts on that are that they're missing out then, because it's rolling along and we have to be a part of it. How is public education looking at that?
Yeah, it's different everywhere right now. And so the biggest thing that I've noticed in the space is there are so many different frameworks that are being created from EdTech people and people with expertise in different areas. There are so many different definitions that are coming out right now about AI literacy. And so that's where I spend a bulk of my time when I'm doing some research, because this is not new technology. I think we think this is very, very, very new. And when we look back from the Web 2.0, where we are, from Web 1.0, going way back then, right? We have lots and lots of different AI versions that have been out. So when we're looking at generative AI, which is normally what people are talking about, the chatbots, the, chat GPTs, the Copilot, all those other Anthropic, all of those other tools that are out there, Claude. It's really almost like when Web 2.0 started being read write, is how I look at it. Yeah. And so looking back in the past and going, how did we do this back then? How did we write policy? What is transparent or not? And how does that look for student data privacy? What families are, how are families getting involved in this, and how that privacy policy may or may not be as transparent as some of these EdTech companies might be selling to us.
It seemed like when we first started hearing about AI and the classroom,
Hmm.
the big concern was, well, a student could just create a report, using one of the many services out there, even Notebook LM, which is really good for stuff like around education,
Yeah.
but they could just create a report and not even understand it. Are you finding that to be an issue, or are educators becoming, I want to say, maybe geared up for how to tell when something is not being studied and instead just being generated?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Our students are very smart.
Yeah.
I will say that. They're
Yeah.
I
I
I
wasn't
make
when
it
I was a kid.
I feel like I was, but maybe I wasn't as smart as I thought back then.
Yeah.
But every time it seems like there's a new tool that comes out, right? There's another tool that gets shared of how to go around that barrier. So it's that ever evolving tech issue that we have, not just in education, but in general. For example, there's AI humanizers and things like that are out there now that, we used to be able to look on Google while students were typing and see what it looked like when they were typing live into that thing.
Oh,
So
wow.
now you can actually put a bot on there that mimics human typing. So it makes it kind of trick the educator. So we really have to be informed citizens, not just educators, but families as well, and just do our diligence the best we can to support one another in this work, because every time somebody says there's a plagiarism checker that works, that has been proven. Research, you can do it out there, has been proven that's false.
Yeah.
There have been friends who put like Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, for example, into these plagiarism checkers, and it's like 89%. I also have some friends that have had like, I have a friend that has a daughter at USC currently, here in Southern California, and some of her work got flagged for plagiarism, but he knows that they worked on it together. So it's really hard to use these pieces of technology and to discern, is this student created or is this something that's generated with AI? So we really have to be creative as educators, and be mindful at home. Are students
Yeah.
sitting on a computer creating something, or do we have to like maybe pull out some pad and paper once in a while and use that as our draft or as our check? So really being diligent, and also, do I put a little disclaimer at the bottom? Like, this was edited with AI. Do I need
Yeah.
to put something in my email if I'm generating it with AI? Those kind of questions come up for sure.
I remember when I used to get home from school and, my mom or dad that was home would tell me, okay, homework. I'd go sit on a table. I got a book. I'd have to read a couple of paragraphs, a couple of pages from a book and write down what I had. And that's how it was. And of course, when computers came along, that made it a lot different. Before that, you even had typewriters. You'd have to
Yeah.
type it out. We see all of this progressing, but I honestly feel that in many ways the kids are getting they're getting smarter.
Mhm.
They're I think maybe they're absorbing it better. I don't want to say, let a computer screen take over from a book, but I have a feeling they are, and I don't know if that's because of using tools like Anthropic or ChatGPT or some of the others, that maybe there might be some more absorption of that information.
I think it just depends on how we're defining reading, right? For first and foremost, because for me, myself as an adult, I prefer listening to audiobooks. And yes, sometimes I might have that chapter book next to me, or
Yeah.
look through it and go and highlight it like I used to do in college. But really, it depends on, it's kind of opening up the opportunities for our students that learn differently, think differently, maybe process differently. I'm thinking of students specifically that are neurodivergent, have ADHD, or maybe they are, dyslexic in some ways. Also, multilingual learners. Like, if you're
Yeah.
learning a brand new language, it's a lot of cognitive load just to try to study that language. I mean,
Absolutely. Oh my
from
gosh. Yeah.
experience, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
so it is lessening some of that initial cognitive load for students, and then helping them access what that curriculum or what that content is. So I get the idea that, yes, if we're using AI every single day, all day long, of course, that's not going to build the muscles in our brain. And one of my buddies, Scott Bricker, he talks all the time about this.
Yeah.
He's like, if you're not building muscle by pumping iron and you're just applying, I don't know, some kind of technology filter, you're probably not going to build that muscle. And I think of our brain like that too. And so we're not making connections with things. But if you do have learning needs that are different than the general population, I see it as a huge benefit. You mentioned Notebook LM.
Yeah.
I recently took an assessment for my administrator's credential, and I used Notebook LM to help me study, and I passed.
Yeah.
So, I didn't have to go out and pay all these extra fees to go to all these testing companies and all these things. So it is really making, in some ways, education more accessible for some people, but we still have that digital divide. Not everyone has access to equity, the internet, all of those things, right? So we still have to consider that it depends on the community and it depends on the users and how they're using it.
Do you think it's important, Amanda, for parents that are listening that also need to understand, and they have to kind of jump into it with them? We had Cliff Notes growing up, and you'd have to look through those, and parents would look. I remember my mom would look through those with me and help me. But with parents understanding how this can work for their benefit and understanding what it's all about, is that hard to do?
It's kind of, it's a challenge because sometimes, I'll just be real, when you're looking at videos and you're looking at content online right now, it is really hard to tell a deep fake image from a real image right now. I mean, I even a still image, at the very beginning of all this, people had like 6 fingers when you would generate things. But now it's like, it seems like, wow, that looks really authentic. And so it comes down to our discernment and our ability as adults to realize how important critical thinking is. And being able to say, oh, you know what? Let me think about that before I make a decision or jump on the bandwagon of, oh, that's going on, like clutching your pearls kind of thing. But really, like for families, it's important because, all of us are going to be kind of forced in some ways to use AI in some capacity, I think. And that's just my opinion. But if we're being forced to use it, then we need to know how to use it responsibly, and how to figure out how to make it work for us so it doesn't just consume all of our data, if that makes sense.
It's interesting because when I got into this, Amanda, in 1979, I took a computer class at the high school I was going to. We had to write code.
Yeah.
And, now we can have our AI write the code for us. But again, you still have to have an idea of how to implement that code, and still, it won't give you everything. And and of course, I don't know if you've run into it for us in radio. We'll maybe ask it to tell us about something that's going on. And, after maybe, wait a minute, something doesn't seem right. We do a double check. We find out the information was wrong.
Yeah.
And I'll tell the AI, hey, you were wrong. Oh, yes, sorry about that. Yeah, good catch. It's like, so,
it's very affirming, right? It always wants to like make you feel good because it's wanting you to engage with it, right? I get it. That's tech. But we have run into that in education as well. So that's when the term AI slop comes into play, because is it giving you great input because you're prompting it correctly? Or is it giving you output that's just combined with all the stuff that's on the internet because that's where it's pulling from? So it's really important to like anchor in those sources of information. Like, for example, when I was studying using Notebook LM, I could add some sources to my repository inside of Notebook LM, and it would give me a podcast. It would give me a quiz. It would give me a couple practice tests so I could study a little bit more. So I think even a mind map that it gives you now is like so cool, all the different things. And you know how much I love Minecraft. I talk about Copilot all the time, and I just learned last week, actually just did a training with our district on a Copilot lesson planner for Minecraft that's inside of there now. So it's kind of cool that educators can go in and look at it, but you do have to still keep that human in the loop. So when I talk about EdTech at all, it's always human first, like people, pedagogy for education, like educational practice, and then the product, right?
I like how, you tag a couple of the prompts, and I saw them on Facebook, play matters. And I think it's important that with all of this stuff, we need to take a moment that this education can be also used to have some fun with and to play.
Definitely.
It does matter. I have to ask you now. You were recently actually nominated and given the claim as one of the top educators, influencers in IT to watch in the top 30. That is very cool. And like, how did that come about?
I don't know, actually. I don't, it's one of those things that's like, wait, people are watching what I'm doing kind of thing. I kind of got a message, from a friend here locally, in Southern California. And she's like, congratulations. And I'm like, what did I do? Like,
What did
did
I
I
do?
post something? So I'm going back through my media feeds, like looking, saying like, what was it that I did? And, she goes, look, and she sends me this link, and I will be completely transparent here. I thought it was AI. I
Really?
did. I literally, I was like, this is fake. This is not true. And then
Right.
after I start going down the list, I'm like, oh, my other friend was on here. Oh, another friend was on here. So I contacted them and said, hey, how did this happen? And they kind of gave me the rundown of how that happened. I guess they just kind of observe out in the social sphere, I guess I will say, the edusphere, I guess we'll call it, and just see like who's talking, who's discussing, who's sharing. And I'm always one to share with anyone who has questions, anyone who wants to learn about it. I don't know everything. I won't consider myself ever an expert because I'm constantly learning. But I think it's important that we do this work together and we constantly like evaluate, look at, critique, question. I'm not an AI optimist by any chance, but I'm also not super against it. So I'm sort of like in this middle ground, depending upon use cases, trying to figure it out too.
I think, Amanda, a lot of people in your field in education are that same way, where they might be like, I'm kind of maybe not on the fence, but they'll use it, but they want to be sparing with it. But then as we see new generations, new platforms coming out that can do even more. I do think Notebook LM is perfect for the student in my respects, because I found I could put stuff in and then add stuff, and I tend to respond pretty good with an audiobook.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm listening to this data and I'm listening to maybe a podcast that was generated from some of that information that was prompted, I tend to just hold on to it just a bit longer.
Yeah.
And that could be a good benefit for studying. There is a book that's going to be coming out next month by a guy named Pritin Shah, who is a Harvard scholar. The book is called Ethical EdTech: How Educators Can Lead on AI and Digital Safety in K through 12. It'll be out May 18th. We're hoping to get him on, and I would love to have you come on and talk with us, the three of us, about like what education and technology is doing right now. And I have to ask you, are the school districts themselves, are they behind this? Are they, really for education and, technology?
Yeah, I think education and technology, we kind of don't have a choice at this point. Like, it's like you're either on or you're off, right? I think there's different pockets of brilliance in different systems. And the way that it looks is just dependent upon the community and what those leaders that are in those spaces really are putting their intention into. Currently in our district, we have a plan going on for AI. It's not a policy. We're not rewriting policy. We already have policy, so you don't need to rewrite an entire policy around AI. But in our district, like we're right now writing a plan of action so that we can put some guardrails on AI, because like you said, there's hallucinations out there. We don't want students getting misinformation or disinformation that's out there, or creating that even more so, because that's just more slop, right? So we want to make sure that we're being very responsible, ethical users of the technology. And some districts, as we know, like have just banned AI. They're like, no AI. Some districts have, like mine, are kind of taking that cautionary approach, but also let's jump on this right now because this is something that we know our students are using. Let's make sure that we're educating them about it. Let's make sure we have space for our community to come in and share their voice about it. And so I really enjoy the way that our committee has been doing the work in the last year and a half or so. There's more behind the scenes work, of course, in anything else. But we are having those conversations. And then there's some districts that are just like, yeah, we're going to use AI. We're going to use OpenAI. And this is what we're doing. So it's really dependent upon the community and how people want to choose to use it, choose not to use it, that kind of thing. Our system, we give the agency to the educator because we want to make sure our students do have access to it in a responsible manner and also based upon the age ranges and guidelines. For my work, I work in elementary, so we're really not using it outside of the educator chatbot experience and then using it with like applications like Adobe Creative and things like that with our students. But those are all safe applications that have been vetted through our district. So for the older kids, they might be using things to code robots or vibe coding you probably heard of before. Lots of different tools out there that are using it. And we're kind of in the play space right now, but safe play, I will say.
Play matters.
It does.
Well, remember that too. Amanda, great to talk to you. And I know we will talk to you again soon. And you got busy until, the end of the year for the school year. Thanks for everything you do.
Thank you.
So there was a really great story this past week about a woman in Ohio, 91-year-old woman that apparently missed check-in calls for people who check in on her. And so police responded to check her wellness. They entered the garage. And it was almost like watching an ID channel thing because you didn't know what was going to happen. And through the garage, they were able to get into the house. And they found her in her bedroom. What was she doing? She was playing a bubble pop game.
Wait,
she bubble pop and trying to beat her high score. Those are those games where you just all you do is pop bubbles, right? Isn't that the case?
I think so.
Yeah.
I thought she was playing like Call of Duty or something.
No. She was playing bubble pop. On that. Now, the woman that plays Call of Duty her name is Hamako Mori. She's from Japan. She's a YouTuber. They call her the gamer granny. Now, this woman in Ohio playing Bubble Pop is 91. Hamako was born in 1930. So that tells you just how young she is. She holds a Guinness World Record for the oldest YouTube gamer. And her games are Resident Evil and Grand Theft Auto. The back there, right? And I was thinking about it.
Does she stream?
Yeah, she streams on YouTube. She was away for 3 years because she had a fall and she was like going through rehab and all that stuff. But she's telling all her fans she's going to be back playing the newest game, which I'm thinking, she's probably living even longer because Rockstar has taken so long to put out the new Grand Theft Auto title, which they say now is in November for PS5 and Xbox. We're not going to see it for PC till 2027. So anyway, you want to check out her page. Hamako Mori is her name. When you go back to Japan next month, Justin, you see if you could, find her.
Oh yeah, and just randomly ring her doorbell and be like, "Hey, can I watch you play some games?" I mean, I don't know. What am I supposed to say to that?
That works,
That's pretty cool, though. I mean, I've watched. There's a couple of people that I watch, not so much anymore, being that I'm so busy. But I do. There was a couple of different ones that were like, grandma. There's like a grandpa gamer who plays strictly just like Battlefield. Oh, and he is an amazing sniper. And I remember watching one of his streams. I mean, and the funny thing is, this guy, I swear to God, he looks like what I'm probably going to look like if I make it to 75. Right? He looks like me. Like, I think I'm going to look like him. Excuse me. Anyway, I was watching one of his streams and people were like, "Hey, why do you only play Battlefield? And when you do, why are you only a sniper?" And he's like, stopped his game and looked at the camera and was like, "Because I was a sniper in the Vietnam War."
Wow.
And he was like, I've done this. This is the thing. Because he, a lot of people when they play games, especially if they're a sniper, they're just using the crosshairs, right? Yeah. And they're just aiming right at where the crosshairs are. No, this guy is using
takes into air and all that.
Yeah, he's using the little dot, the little lines above the crosshairs to calculate his distance. And he can shoot somebody from across the map. And it's just like every single time. And he'll just look at the camera and be like, boom. Like, it's just, I mean, the guy's hilarious.
That is awesome. I don't know. Like, it makes you wonder though, Think about it. When we're in our 90s, we make it to our 90s. What games are we going to be wanting to play? Are we going to play
Grand
Doom?
Theft Auto 6. I hope it comes out by then.
But you, Shawn, which game?
Probably Diablo 2.
Diablo 2. You should be playing it. That's
Project
awesome.
Zomboid. I've been playing so much of Project Zomboid.
Still waiting
recently.
for the invite to the server.
What do you do? Okay, first off, I've invited you to almost every single game I've ever played, and you
This is
never
an accurate statement.
This is 100%
I
accurate.
never got those.
Yeah, dude. You're like, oh, one of these days I'll get on and play. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'll play. Yeah. All right, that's it for this week's show. I'm Andy Taylor.
I'm Shawn DeWeird.
And I'm Justin Lemmy. Once again, find us on the web, techtalkradio.com. Have yourselves a great week. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.